spiders, ants, elephants. Which one is the largest? Well, you might find out on I Don't Know About That with Jim Jefferies. Hello, and welcome to the podcast. That was, it's elephants, the answer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you haven't seen some of the spiders.
We've already done an elephant episode, so you should already know that. Go back and listen to the elephant episode. It was a good one. There's two types. There's African and there's Asian, and that's you don't have to ask me about that again. Me and Jack were talking the other day. We were doing something, and there was a subject that you were like, oh, that was the next one that you have to ask me again about. What was that one about?
Oh, crap. Mosquitoes?
No, that was last week. I know about mosquitoes. I haven't forgotten about that so quickly.
What's the one mosquito?
Oh, it doesn't matter. They have a big rod and they suck blood, and the men can
Big
ejaculate
rod?
8
Asian
times.
tiger
Yeah.
mosquito.
They can ejaculate
They have
8
6
times with
different
their
things.
head
Yeah, the
cut off.
Asian tiger mosquito.
Which is
that's what it
different because
was.
I can ejaculate 8 times if I see someone with their head cut off, which is a different type of thing, but horrible.
Very
How are
good.
we all?
Asian tiger mosquito, though.
Asian tiger mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the one
you
to
said I'll
remember.
never forget that.
Yeah, I know that now.
Okay.
You won't forget because you just said it. Easy.
Yeah,
Done.
I've got
Perfect.
you people around.
Memorized.
I don't need a memory. I have the internet and you. What do you got for us, Jack?
Comment world.
Oh, golly.
Come on down to Comment World and get high on our 5-star ride.
I don't know if that's a man or a woman singing that
Yeah,
song.
wait, what was that? What was happening?
Jenna Emery sent it in.
Yeah, but what was
Oh, is it Jenna?
those horns?
Okay, so it's a
I
woman.
think
It's
it's
a
a
woman.
woman.
I didn't know if it was a guy going.
Or just saxophone.
It
Falsetto.
sounded like somebody was being held against their will when they made that song.
They might have been. Who knows?
Oh, I hope he gets set free.
What comments you got, Jack?
Versus a 5-star review. It says, so funny, I almost stoved in my face in with a dumbbell.
What's stoved in?
Listen to the Prohibition episode at the gym when Jim started impersonating all the drunk banker tellers and bus drivers on 8 liters of alcohol a day. I lost control laughing. So I guess he was working out, almost hit himself in the face with a weight.
Oh, right. Yeah.
This podcast is dangerous.
Yeah, I only listen to music when I'm at the gym, the few times I've been, when I'm doing cardio. I never with weights go, I have to listen to a podcast while I'm lifting a dumbbell above my head. I like to focus on that completely.
What kind of music do you like when you're working out?
I listen to the same shit all the time. Fucking 90s rock and roll from Britain.
I was going to
That's all
say,
ever
like Father
fucking-
and Son by Cat Stevens.
Yeah. I tell you what, I saw Cat Stevens in concert, and when that song came on, fucking grown men crying about that song. That song means a lot to a lot of people, and it's got something to do. I think it has to do with that song. It was like a poem or something that he had already read or something. I don't know if he wrote the lyrics, but I think he wrote the music, and it was about some kid leaving for the Civil War. And it's funny when you got songs like that that still apply to people today for whatever reason. But, you know, it's not time to make a change. And you're young, you find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me, I'm old, but I'm happy. I don't know. Are you happy? You seem to be fucking harping on and telling everyone off for their life choices.
So that's what you work out to?
Yeah, Cat Stevens. I do that. Then I do a bit of Morning is Broken.
Yeah.
All the Cat Stevens back catalogue.
Yeah.
Daniel and Matthew and Son, the work's never done. That one really gets me pumped. That's like, all right, now that's a cardio song you really want to get.
Like cool down to Wonderwall.
And then the wind is, no, Wonderwall's not Cat Stevens, although he would have done a good
You
version.
were definitely working out to Oasis.
I don't listen to Wonderwall. Wonderwall's like, if you're an Oasis fan, Wonderwall's like your least favorite song.
Too overplayed.
Too overplayed, nonsensical, and then it's like they got so many better tracks. It's a good song, but it's like it's the only song that Americans know is the Wonderwall. Carry on, Jack.
Next, another 5-star review. Woo! It says, I heart Jim Jeff. Hello, I love the show. I also have a request, please. Have him do one segment where he speaks in an American accent because it cracks me up when he does. Come on, do it, you root rat.
I don't know
I
why
don't
people
think-
think the American accent's funny, but I think it's because they know my own voice so much that it's.
Yeah.
But
But it's like exaggeratedly deep too.
No, it's not. It's an excellent voice. We are now doing Comment World.
It's a guy that you want to fucking punch in the face for
Ah,
sure.
Kelly, you don't even know me. You don't know what I'm up to and the things I get done in this world or some shit. Or
You sound like a villain in 80s.
Blow it out your ass.
A villain in an 80s ski film.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Need some slips.
I'm the guy with Better Off Dead. You're not going to the prom with him.
That's exactly what it
Do
is.
do you say prom? I say prom, and my
Prom.
wife
Prom.
says prom.
A
prom.
Prom or prom?
Prom.
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 You say prom? I say
Prom.
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 Yeah.
Like
So
P-R-A-H-M.
either-
Prom.
either's
What did she
Good.
say? Prom?
Prom. Prom.
Prom.
Prom.
Prom.
Prom?
Prom.
If it's not prom, it's wrong.
Prom.
I used to have
Put a rhyme in
with DJ and Dan Backadol when we were doing a legit. Every time I said the word floor, they couldn't figure out what I was saying. Floor.
Floor
Flaw?
or flaw?
Flaw. That's for flaw. But
Flaw.
I was saying
Floor.
floor, as
Floor.
in you have floors, not you own a house with floors.
Floors.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
I knew what you were saying, but
Yeah, there's a lot of floors going on. I have a lot of floors. Big house, isn't it?
yeah.
What am I talking about? No one knows.
I'm perfect.
I can't crack the code.
Floor. Yeah.
Flaw.
I'm a very flawed person. That means I'm down to earth, like floors are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What if it's like the 10th floor?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not. That's that
Your
bloke's.
ground floor.
That bloke's up himself. The bloke on the 10th floor, he's got lots of flaws.
What if he's got no flaws?
I feel like my brain's gonna explode.
He's just floating around.
It's like when you write one word or read a word over and over again and it doesn't look real anymore.
I can't see my text anymore. And so I was a bad speller back in the day.
Like you
and
can't see them, like you can't read them because your vision.
I can't read him. I can't read him because my vision's no good.
Just the text like
Also-
disappeared from your phone.
also-
I don't know where it is.
Also, I'm a bit illiterate. Anyway, but I can't read my text anymore.
What
So
happened to your glasses?
I can read them if I put my glasses on, but that's a lot of work to do that all the time.
You'll get there. Like now, I just have 4 pairs of glasses. So I have in the car that because I was refusing to think that too, and then I just eventually was like, well, I can't see.
I think I have to wear glasses all the time now because my texts now are just gibberish. And I thought predictive texting would save me. And then I put my glasses on and I read back my texts and it's just fucking, they're not even trying the predictive text.
Yeah,
And you're
I will
like,
say
guys,
it-
I swear I don't drink anymore. And
And so
everybody's like, we've seen
and
your
I don't
text.
spell check it because I can't see it. So I'm just like, blah, 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 and I type it out like a blind person.
I've had to do some mad deciphering.
Yeah.
He's turned into a Tommy Caprio
And,
texter.
and then I told Jack about this, and Jack said, "I can make your font bigger." And I'm like, "I'm not there yet. I can't be like a person who has one of those big like fonts. Next time I have to get one of those phones that old people have with the big buttons.
Just one
the
for
jitterbug.
911.
Yeah, I need a jitterbug.
the jitterbug. Terrible name. What did people do before glasses? They just died, huh?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Like,
Yeah, they were just blind. They were blind.
well, no, but
people.
if you okay,
And they just didn't respond to
Like
their
you're
texts.
saying like a caveman.
nearsighted, I mean farsighted, sure you can survive, but if you're nearsighted, you couldn't see far, like you'll just die. Things will fucking run over you and shit.
Yeah.
Eat you. Lions.
Yeah, Kate, my ex, she's basically blind, and then she had the laser surgery, and now she might need it again because they deteriorate again. I thought that was like an instant fix.
So she's nearsighted because you can't get laser for farsighted. If you for just this, you can't get laser.
I don't even know which one I am.
You're farsighted. That means you can see far, but you can't see near.
Oh yeah, that's no good. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, so can I get the laser?
No, you can only get it if you're nearsighted.
You just gotta get bifocals.
I looked into
Fucking
it,
balls, isn't it?
but I bought
Your
just
bifocals suck as well.
I know.
My glasses are bifocal. So half the world's fuzzy, half the world's clean, and I don't clean either of the fucking lenses. So the whole world's just covered in spot and fingerprints. It's like shit wearing glasses.
Vaseline.
And then you have to swim and you can't see shit again. And then
now there's like cheaper versions that you can get and just buy 4 pairs or 3 pairs. Keep one in your car, keep one in your like house.
I live in California. I'm wearing sunglasses most of the time.
Dude, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, this has been the last 4 years of my life. This journey, it sucks. Like the people that have been wearing glasses, I'm sorry.
And I went the longest
life.
because, like, my mother needs glasses, my father's glasses, both my brothers have glasses, and I was like the one with the great vision where I was like, ha, "You people are idiots."
Yep.
I used to brag when I was driving along, going, "Get me to read something. Point at a sign you can't see, and I will see it for you."
Yeah.
Someone said Dr. South from our mosquito episode, Forrest, you and him should start a burly biologist podcast called, and then someone else commented, burly bearded biologists.
Just
Nice.
the burly biologist is all right, but also the word burly.
Yeah.
How about buff biologists?
Buff?
Yeah.
Buff's good.
Yeah. I'll get on that.
Someone said Jack looking pretty fly for a white guy.
Yeah, you're looking
Nice.
good. Well, you say this every day. You look better and better. You're looking more and more handsome, and now you're getting your teeth fixed up.
Yeah.
I also feel like every comment world you do a comment about how you look good. And these might be you. These might be you.
We had the
I was tired of the mean ones.
we had the baby
we have
shower,
another nice
and
one.
like
So weird.
Jack's hair became a big conversation
Yeah, it
point
made
at the
me really
baby shower,
uncomfortable.
where a
Where was
lot
that?
of people
At the baby
at
shower.
the baby shower, a lot of people were talking about Jack's hair. There's
Yeah,
something
so-
about cabbage or something hanging out the bottom of hairs.
We're
or
talking about lettuce.
lettuce head or something. I don't fucking know.
But like in a positive way, right?
Yeah. Like he has a good
lettuce
head of
was
hair.
the old hair when you like have a helmet on, the hair comes out the back. It's called lettuce or whatever.
Mm.
Bit of lettuce. Drew was saying
Never
he's
heard
got
that.
lettuce, man. He's got lettuce hanging out the back of his hair. Drew's our friend. He's from Norway.
Nailed it.
This is back from the BMX episode.
Oh,
DJ Lavin.
Someone commented, "How many BMX Bandits references is Jim going to squeeze into this?" And then they recommented, "Finished watching. The answer is 6."
Nice.
I don't think I put in that many references. I think I mentioned it once, and there was probably some other references underneath the umbrella. But it's not like I constantly went back to the BMX Bandits.
It sounds like you did.
No,
Yeah, I think you did.
You used it for your answers to show how much you knew about
Yeah.
BMX, and then you went back to it again. And
They
said-
used to have the spokes, but they had the plastic spokes in the BMX Bandits.
Also, MTV is bringing back Cribs, and TJ is on an
Whoa.
episode in this season.
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna say he was the host.
No, he's showing his crib.
I'd never show me crib. That would be no good. People come over and I go like, "That's where the baby's gonna sit. We got a mat for it."
They open the fridge, it's disorganized.
Yeah, there's the fridge. What's in your fridge? That's some beef Wellingtons that I froze.
Vegan cheese.
There's vegan cheese, and I'm not allowed soda, so I'll take you to the special place where I hide it, and then I just pour it over ice.
I'm just glad you said the word crib. Just now. I've
Yeah.
never heard you say the word crib.
No, I don't chill in me crib.
Pretty dope.
Yeah. That's the thing is, I can do a lot of, I can just say a lot of cool things with this voice, but there's certain words, like I've said, I can't say motherfucker properly. I say cunt like a champion.
Yeah.
I can say brother very good, and I say man very good. Hey man, like I say man very good. I remember because we had on the Jim Jefferies show, our head writer, he always was envious of the way that I could say the word man, so he would try to write it into scripts. And I said, "You don't write it
Is
into
this real?
scripts." Yeah, I did.
Wait, the way you say man?
Yeah. Because he was always like, I was like, "Yeah, man, come over here, man."
Yeah.
Like, I lived in Manchester for a while.
Yeah,
I know how
yeah.
to say
Yeah,
man.
man.
No, but
Yeah.
I didn't know he tried to write it. This is a real
And
thing.
so
yeah.
We had
sometimes
to cut a lot
I'd
of
be
the mans.
I'd be reading a script and it'd just be like, "You know what I'm talking about, man?" And I'm like, "Nah, it's got to come natural, man. You can't just put it in there."
Oh, Jason.
Because Jason's saying it's like, "Hey, man."
Yeah.
Different cadence.
Yeah.
That Obama, he's the man. That would be a Jason line.
Love Jason.
I think he listens.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
He did
Jason.
at the beginning. I don't
How you
know.
doing,
Maybe I
man?
might be listening anymore. Jason, if you're listening, send us a DM. I
Yeah,
live
yeah.
around the corner from him. I can just go
Yeah,
and
well, that's it. Send me a text message if you listen to this podcast. Otherwise, the next time I see you, I'll go, "Have you been listening to the podcast?" And you'll go, "Yep." And I'll go, "Nice."
Well, he might have some
He might
catching
not
up
be
to do.
caught up. Yeah.
Yeah,
have to
no.
tell him.
I'll give it 6 weeks.
Okay. All right.
I'm not going to do it to you tomorrow, but Jason, oh man, I've got fucking your life's on the line here, brother. They just said, "Brother, see, I'm good at it." You motherfucker. Can't do it.
Terrible.
Can't do it.
Terrible.
Can't do it. What was the word that we said to begin with that I couldn't do that you were talking about?
Archaeopteryx?
No,
No.
I can't say Archaeopteryx. What did you-
Motherfucker?
No, you just said in a sentence there was
Law.
like,
No.
no, it was in the comment. No, it doesn't matter, man.
Great segment, Jack.
I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
He's just looking at the next comment where he say, you love your hair.
Jumped off we jumped
good
off from
looking.
anyway, it doesn't matter.
What
I
do you
just
use for
wanted
your
you to
skin? It's
speak
soft.
American.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Someone was following up on your Tasmanian devil info,
Yeah, it turns out that they eat meat. Yep. We know about that.
so I shouldn't read the comment.
You can read the comment, but I found that out the hard way. I went to do a travel documentary that never saw the light of day in Australia because COVID happened. And we went and visited some Tasmanian devils, and I fed 10 of them a fucking kangaroo's leg.
Yeah.
And what
Didn't
you
you
do
say
is,
this? Didn't you say that?
Yeah, you did say this, but they
It's like,
followed up.
yeah,
It's a follow up to that follow up. Although the Tas devil favors wombats because of the ease of predation and high fat content,
Right.
it will eat all small native mammals such as wallabies, batong, and potorus. These are insane names. Domestic mammals including sheep and rabbits, birds, fish, fruit, vegetable matter, insects, tadpoles, frogs. They eat everything, it sounds like.
They eat the bones. They eat everything. If you
Scary
want to get rid of
Devils.
if you want to get rid of a body, all you got to do is find 10 Tasmanian devils. Now they are an endangered species, so it'll be pretty difficult to do. But if you come across them, no one will ever suspect that's the way you got rid of it.
Last thing for Comment World, if you guys are up for it.
Sure.
Someone sent in
If you guys are up for it. What's our other option?
you say, fuck off, Jack, we're doing ads.
All right.
Someone sent in mosquito-themed erotica for me to read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure, yeah.
So this is from Shaked Rami. Would love to hear Jack read an erotic novel about mosquitoes having a swarm sex experience.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
This guy's name's Shake?
Shaked Rami.
Did he write this?
I think he did.
Okay.
This is original. It's an original,
All right. I'm gonna close
original
my
Rami.
eyes so I can visualize.
She was just 4 days old, but the scent of the dead raccoon being spread by hundreds of crazed males flying overhead was too big of a temptation
Wait
to
a minute,
pass.
wait a minute. The mosquito's for or the dead body is for?
She was just 4 days. It must be.
Sounds like the
I think
It
beginning.
must have
Mosquitoes.
been the mosquito, female mosquito.
Sounds like the beginning of a really bad Beatles song.
Because remember the way
She was
mosquitoes
just
mate, it's like
4 days old.
Because mosquitoes mate because there's like the female flies into the swarm of guys, right? Something like that. The swarm thing. Is that right? If you remember.
Keep
from-
reading. I think we'll get it. Just
all
read it.
sex in the animal kingdom isn't pleasant. That's all.
Okay,
That's
so I
what I've
think that's
learned
how
from
it
this
works.
podcast.
So I think that's what the swarm is.
I'm not horny yet, Jack. Keep going.
Zena felt her little wings moving. It was as if they had a will of their own. She hadn't seen anything but the swamp yet and wanted to travel the world. But the idea of those buzzboys swarming around her, wanting her, must have tapped into her primal needs.
You know the problem with this is he hasn't written the word penis or cock enough, which is
true.
the best part of you reading this. Because you get and you slow down. on
No,
that
it's-
part.
It may come up.
It's
It's
coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. I can
Alright.
tell.
She took off. There are so many, such intoxicating scents, and those needles. Zena's.
Those needles.
That's the dick.
I don't know.
That's what Jack calls his dick. So he's the shit.
This
Just
is
to
only going to
share
hurt a
them.
little bit.
Just a pinch. Zena's mind. There's a lot of Z's. Zena's mind began to lose focus.
We get it.
I'm just making sure. Mind began to lose focus of where she was flying. Suddenly, she smashes into a tigery-looking male. Tigery. It threw him off his course, and he crashed into a spectating hornet. Uh-oh. The hornet was exactly mid-stroke and was so angry at the male mosquito, he ripped his head clean off. I'm getting turned on. The decapitated body landed on the floor, and
It's the decapitated
Zena
body that turned
rushed
Jack
to
on.
it. She felt so sorry and knew
It can
she
still
had one
come 5
chance to
times.
make it up to the poor male by continuing his genetic legacy. As she got closer, his decapitated body began twitching violently, moving closer to her. Zena blushed and spared no moment. She lay on her back and got ravaged by the decapitated
How long is
corpse.
this?
It's almost over.
Okay.
It's only about the end. Honestly, at this point, I'm out of ideas, but everyone is welcome to jump in.
Yeah, that guy. That's a life not lived.
Edit that out.
Yeah. Thank
That's
you,
it.
Shake.
Shaked with a D.
Shaked.
Yeah.
Like you shake the baby.
Yeah.
No,
Well-
don't shake the baby.
I guess you never use shaked.
Yeah.
You always use
I
you say
shaked it.
shook.
Yeah, shake it. Shake
Shake
it,
it.
not stirred.
Shake it.
Shaked, not stirred.
That's
All
what
right,
I've always thought about James Bond. Worst fucking spy in the world. I think I mentioned this. Always mention his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we did
Yeah.
the James Bond episode where we
Yeah.
talked about
We
this.
talked about everything in the world already.
Yeah.
Hey,
Fucking
man.
hell. This podcast. Like you watch us in another 100 episodes, we're going to be like this. So dust is mostly skin, is it?
What about when it gets in the wind?
Actually, that'd be a good episode. Find me a dust expert.
All right, let's do some ads.
Is there something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Is there ever? BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating in under 48 hours. It's not a crisis line. It's not a self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online. The service is available for clients worldwide, and you can log into your account anytime and send a message to your counselor. You'll get a timely and thoughtful response. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, so you won't ever have to sit in that uncomfortable waiting room looking at some bloke wearing a one of those little bucket hats and a red shirt with a dog and think, what's that guy in here
That
for?
guy's got problems.
Jeez,
Terrible.
he's got new glasses. What is that, a green tinge?
I've had these for a while.
They're nice though, a bit different.
Oh,
bit different.
yeah.
Oh, calm down, Elton. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit their website and
you yell
read
that?
it says today in capital letters.
Oh,
I
okay, so
do what the company fucking wants, man. They want the word today loud. I give it to them. I'm an ads man. Visit their website and read their testimonials that are posted daily. Visit betterhelp.com/IDK. That's better, H-E-L-P. Why do they make me spell the word help? That's the easiest bit. Better, H-E-L-P. And join the over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they're recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. The podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and the I Don't Know About That listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/IDK. This summer, get the most out of your travels abroad by learning the language of your destination with Babbel, the #1 selling language app. From ordering to restaurants or asking for directions or gaining a deeper understanding of the culture, Babbel makes the whole process of learning a new language actively fun and easy. See, this is the thing. You go after another language, you go, "Excuse me, do you have COVID?" And then they look at you a bit weird, but then you're in Spanish and you go, "Do you have la COVID?" And they go,
Yeah.
"Sí."
Yeah. That is good to clear that up.
I think it's
Yeah.
L COVID.
Yeah, it's probably all COVID.
Oh, the French is la COVID.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the German is das COVID, I think.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but you can learn how to speak das COVID with bite-sized lessons you can actually use in the real world. Babbel is a can't-miss travel essential. I would choose Italian.
Really?
Because I already have the hands down. I talk with me hands. All I need is the words to back it up.
Mamma mia.
Senorita.
What's senorita mean?
Lady of the night.
Yep, that's correct.
That's the only word I wanted to learn.
Lady of the night.
Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it the perfect way to learn a new language on the go. So, when you're sitting at home and you're like, that's easy to learn a language. But when you're jogging or grocery shopping or when you're having sex, you can learn a language.
That is a good point.
Start off, you're having sex and you're like, oh God. And then you go, la God, el Godo.
Yep.
You really know a lot of languages, man.
Yeah, El Gato.
Buongiorno. And you'll learn things you can actually learn in real life. If you could learn one of those languages that have a lot of in it.
Mm-hmm.
They're always fun.
Russian,
Yeah.
German.
They don't feel like it's a painful thing to do. So I just told someone I love them. Other language learning apps use AI for their lesson plans, but Babbel lessons are created by over 100 language experts. Their teaching method has been scientifically proven to be effective. With Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, I think it's pronounced, French,
Espanol.
Italiano,
and
German, and that comes from the Germanic word Deutschland. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you to improve your pronunciation and accent. There are so many ways to learn with Babbel. In addition to lessons, you can access podcasts, games, videos, stores, and even live classes. You know those games where it's you play COD and you blow a guy's brains off and you go, "Si, senor."
I think the games might be different. I'm not sure.
I don't know. How do you know how to play COD and fight against the Nazis if you can't speak a bit of German? That's how you infiltrate.
Point.
That's how you infiltrate.
I hadn't thought about that.
Right now, when you purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months for free. That's 6 months for the price of 3. Go to Babbel.com and use the promo code I don't know. That's Babbel, BABBEL.com. Code I don't know for an extra 3 months free.
All right, please welcome our guest this week, Dr. Suzanne Simard.
Hello, Doctor. Now it's time to play.
Yes, though. Yes, though. Yes, though. Yes, though. Judging a book by its cover.
Now that's a song. All right, Doctor. I'm going to try to guess what you do. You're a doctor already. I always know that because the name.
Yeah,
It's
so
a
we've had a
solid
lot of
hint,
doctors
yeah.
on the show.
Yeah, we have a lot of doctors on here. We have a lot of doctors. Now, I've learnt from this show that not all doctors are medical.
Correct.
Some doctors are like Ross Geller from Friends,
Mm-hmm.
where he wasn't medical.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a medical doctor?
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not what some would call a real doctor. I'm one of those other doctors.
Yeah, they got to get new names for that.
What would you call
Super doctors? Either side can have it.
super doctors?
Yeah,
Well,
super doctors.
there's MD and PhD.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. What does MD mean?
Medical doctor.
And what does PhD mean?
Doctor of philosophy. Right?
Are you a doctor
Yeah.
of philosophy?
I am.
All
Yes.
right.
I don't really philosophize, so I do others. I mean, I guess I do sometimes.
Yeah,
but-
everyone philosophizes a bit.
yeah, we're all doctors of philosophy.
Now,
I think.
I'm looking at your room trying to, okay, so you got like 2 little lamps, you got a fan, you got a picture of a snowman. Geez,
That's not going to help you.
That doesn't help anything. You're in Canada, don't you have enough snow outside? You have to bring it into your house with a little snowman. Let me.
Outside is good. You should
Yeah.
concentrate
Oh,
there.
outside. Are you a doctor of wilderness?
Yeah, I am in a sense, a certain kind of wilderness.
Do you specialize in an animal?
No, well,
In a,
what's the difference between?
That's
Yes,
okay.
no,
So
I
you
don't.
specialize in a plant,
I do a certain kind of
a
plant.
certain
yeah.
kind of plant, and then
Right.
the same thing. Forrest always says that plants are animals and all that stuff because they all feed each other.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't say they're animals.
They're
but
living, they're living.
Yeah.
You just said a really big clue.
What?
Well, you said the word that we're going to be talking about.
Well, you said his name.
Oh, Forrest. Are you an expert? Are you an expert in forest?
I am.
Oh, wow.
trees,
there we go. Expert in forest. That's good.
me.
I'm an expert in this forest. It's not knowledge that gets me anywhere. He likes brisket.
Dr. Suzanne Simard is a professor in the Department of Forest and Conservation Sciences and teaches at the University of British Columbia. She received her PhD in forest sciences at Oregon State University. Her work has influenced filmmakers such as James Cameron in Avatar, The Tree of Souls, and her TED
Oh.
Talks have been viewed by more than 10 million people worldwide. Her new book, Finding the Mother Tree, Discovering the Wisdom of the Forest, is a New York Times bestseller and is now available everywhere, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, I'm looking at right here, Hudson Booksellers, everywhere that you can find books. And you can find her on Instagram at Dr. Suzanne Simard, DrSuzanneSimard.
So are we doing the whole forest or are we doing a particular
We're going to talk about
tree?
trees,
Trees.
and maybe, and this will give away some of the answers, but I don't really care. Maybe you want to just say a little bit more about your book, Finding the Mother Tree, that's out now. If you want to expound upon that.
Sure. Yeah, it's a memoir. So it's about, how my life informed the work that I do, which is studying forests, how they're intertwined together. And ultimately, it's led to me helping save forests because, as you know, we're rapidly losing our forests in the world. So I think, I think the work itself has shown the importance of trees in all the big cycles that support life.
Here's one for you. Isn't there too many trees?
Yeah,
I've said this before.
I just want to preface this by saying
I like trees.
Jim's going to challenge you on things, but he has no knowledge of
I'm
it.
not anti-trees. I like a good tree. It just seems like a lot. It just seems like everywhere I look, there's bloody one.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the,
A lot of trees.
But we're losing trees really quickly.
I
So
know,
no,
we've
there
been
aren't too many trees.
We've been losing them since I was a kid. We still got them.
All right, hey, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you some questions, Jim, and you can revisit some of your...
I know I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
I'm wrong.
we did prepare her yesterday.
I know we need all the trees. I'm just saying it's a design fault because we need space to live as well. There's a lot of bloody trees.
Or there's too many people.
Yeah, there's too many people.
Yeah,
probably.
there's an argument. There's too many people. Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Well, here's what we're going to do, Dr. Simard. I'm going to ask Jim some questions about trees, and then when we're done, you're gonna grade him 0 through 10, 10 being the best. 10 is the best he did, 0 is the worst. Kelly's gonna grade him on confidence. I'm gonna grade him at cetera. I'm gonna put all 3 of those scores together. And just because I knew you were gonna say stuff like this, Jim, 0 through 10, trees are important. 11 through 20, we need trees to survive. 21 through 30, deforestation is real.
I believe it's all real. I just think, come on now.
Okay. Well, first question: what is a tree?
They're made of wood. They grow from the ground. They give us oxygen. They normally have leaves.
Yeah.
Not all of them. I don't believe like a bottle tree has got any leaves on it. You know.
Don't know what a bottle tree is.
It's an Australian thing. It's like it grows up like that. It's about 2 foot tall, and it's just like a trunk that just sort of grows.
It's a Christmas tree that Jim made out of beer bottles when he was a raging alcoholic.
No, it's a real. Have you heard of a bottle tree, Doctor?
I haven't, no, but I'm imagining that it looks like a stem like a bottle with,
it's more like
trunk.
a girt.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the leaves,
Okay.
branches,
Sure.
trunks, roots,
Yeah.
trees.
Okay. What is xylem?
Xylem, wonderful. It's
Wonderful stuff.
It's the stuff that produces sap. What you would call sap, but I would call it xylem. And it's the life force of a tree.
And what about phloem?
Phloem's what makes the xylem move.
Okay. I'm gonna skip this one. What does a tree need to grow?
Good attitude.
Yeah.
It needs soil, enriched soil.
Let me ask it this way: how does it get energy or food?
And it needs water.
How does it get energy or food?
With water.
Okay, is there something? What does it do with the water? How does it-
The food comes from the nutrients in the soil. The water is the water that it needs in the same way we need water.
Uh-huh.
And that's where it's food and water, because soil and water.
Any other way that it?
I've never seen one at bloody in and out or anything.
Okay, so do you describe what is or what happens in photosynthesis?
Photosynthesis. I've been told this before.
Okay.
I know about this.
Yeah.
It's when the molecular structure of the tree makes leaves through the pollinization.
Let's move on. Why do we need trees? You said a couple
oxygen. We need them for oxygen. We need them for wood, so we can have tables and whatnot. We need them. Like, what else are you going to hang a tire off? Don't be silly, Forrest. There's 3 good reasons right there: oxygen, tire hanging, wood.
Okay. Do you know what an angiosperm is?
You know I don't, Forrest. That's why you asked the question to make me look like a fool.
What about a gymnosperm?
Gymnosperm is when I've had too many wanks that day. You look at the guy and you go, gymnosperm.
Okay. Let's skip ahead here. I always like asking this. Well, we won't ask that one. What are the function of roots?
Well, it's to hold the tree in the ground, right? Otherwise, it would just fall over if it didn't have any roots. Also, it reaches out to get different bits of food from the soil, just like, there's a bit over here, and it grows out there and stuff. It's basically a stability thing.
What about leaves? What do they do?
They feed koalas, and probably there's some other animals that are leaf eaters. I can't. There's you got your pandas that eat the bamboo and all type of stuff. They give nutrients and stuff like that, but they would do the thing that they would probably be the bit where the oxygen comes from, I imagine.
Is the destruction of the rainforest a myth?
It's not a myth, but when I was a kid, I used to hear that the Amazon was losing a football field a day.
Yeah.
By my maths, it should be gone years ago. That was 40 years ago. I was hearing we were losing a football.
So you think there was only 12,000 football fields of?
No, it's a day.
Yeah, it's 365 a year.
Yeah.
So that's 3,650 every 10 years. Yeah, and in 40 years, it's about 15,000 football fields. That's all you think the rainforest is?
That's a bloody lot of rainforest.
Football.
Okay. Are trees alive? You said they were alive, right? Can trees communicate?
Yeah, they can. They can give nutrients to other trees under the ground. Like if one tree's dying, the other one can.
Did you hear me talking about this?
Yeah, because you said it to me.
Okay.
That's how I learn things.
That's
I get information. I remember it sometimes.
What is tree grafting?
That's where you cut back a tree so that it'll grow, flourish a bit more. That's where you get a tree. Are you a tree doctor? Is that what you are? A tree like a tree surgeon? I always thought
no.
I always thought that was a big term for a guy. You always meet somebody who's like, I'm a tree surgeon. And it's like you get an old tree and you tie it together a bit. Like it's hardly scalpel work, but it's fine work. I'm just saying, surgeon seems like a bit. I'd call myself a tree fixer-upper.
Let's ask a few more questions here, and then we'll be done. This is an easy one. How do you figure out how old a tree is?
The rings, when you cut it in half, and each ring is a decade.
Okay, and then they're all equal distance apart, or they're?
No. On the outside, they sort of get bigger, and then the inside they're smaller because the inside it takes a lot less for it to grow outwards for 10 years, and at the end it takes a long time for those 10 years to go. So the outward circles are wider, the inward circles are smaller.
Okay. Is there anywhere in the world without trees? I don't know.
Oh, there'd be deserts. But even then, like you got like Joshua Tree and all that type of stuff. There's trees there, but I don't think there's any trees in the Sahara. Not that in any film I've ever seen. Or maybe there is a palm tree or something like that, but like not a lot. Nothing to write home about.
Okay, 2 more questions. How do trees reproduce?
They oh golly, how do they? You call up a bloke. You call up Louise's dad, right? And he brings you another tree. That's how you get him.
Do you want to let everybody know that Louise's dad is a landscaper before you just throw it out there?
He's not just being a stereotype.
No, I wasn't doing that. Louise's dad's a landscaper. I wasn't saying anything untowards there.
Okay. And this is a question. We prepped the doctor on this, but we'll talk about it. What is more nature, tree or sand? You said sand forever.
Yeah, I'm a sand guy.
Why again?
Because you can make glass out of it.
But you can make tables out of trees.
Nature.
Yeah, but you can also withstand heat, and Look. What do you put your best bit next? Okay, everyone in the world lives next to the water because that's the best bit, right? That's where all the rich people live, next to the water, right?
Okay, so only the rich people.
Yeah. Where's the sand? Prime real estate.
So it's more nature?
It's more nature because rich people live on it.
We'll get back to it.
The sand joins us to the ocean. It is the handshake that we have with the sea.
Okay.
It's like, am I on land? Am I on water? No, you're on fucking sand.
Okay.
You don't know. It's the good go-between. It's the great equalizer, sand.
All right. Dr. Suzanne Simard, thank you for sitting through that. On a scale 0 to 10, 10 being the best, how did Jim do in his knowledge of trees?
Pretty darn good. Well, I mean, is that for the first question or for all over?
No, all of them. All of them.
Oh, all over. Well, okay, that's a different.
the tree ring one I've got right.
Okay.
You can actually tell my age by my asshole like that.
50-50. We'll give you a 5 for your knowledge. How do you do on confidence?
Not bad.
I'm going to give him a 4 on confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him 0. So trees are important, Jim.
Here's the thing. You don't need to know everything about everything, right? I look at trees and go, that's nice.
Well, you're going to learn right now.
I know, because we have people like Suzanne who knows all about it. I don't need to know anything.
Okay, well.
For you listeners at home, go out in your backyard, put your earphones in, look at your trees while you do this. Lovely.
There you
Say
go.
sorry, probably.
So,
To the trees.
Oh, sorry to the trees? Are we at that stage now where trees want reparations?
Probably.
CBD isn't about what you feel. It's about what you don't feel. Stress, anxiety, pain. Forrest, do you feel these things and has CBD helped you?
What's happening? Are you singing?
No, I just have a sing-song voice.
I do have a lot of pain. This might come as a shock to you. I don't take care of my body.
Yes, and that's just what we can physically see. the emotional pain is through the fucking roof. But to the sake of this advert, tell us about your body pain.
Yeah.
It also helps your emotional pain, CBD.
Oh,
Anxiety,
it does, actually.
stress,
Yeah, it does.
all
And I
of
get
that
anxiety. But yeah, I've tried some of this, and it worked really good. Actually, I was really achy, and my body hurt a lot. I just played golf, and I also probably had anxiety. I always have that, and I was like a little tube. Took it, and it was all good.
And that's what
it really
he tried. He
relaxes
tried
you.
Feels, Feals.
Oh yeah, Feels.
It's a
We didn't say the name
better
yet.
way
Yeah.
to feel. That's what you did.
Yeah.
Feels is a premium CBD that will help you keep your head clear and feel your best. It's hassle-free, delivered directly to your door. CBD naturally helps reduce stress, anxiety, pain, and sleeplessness. There's no hangover or addiction.
Yeah.
All right, I like it.
What?
Place a few drops of Feels under your tongue and feel the difference within
right?
minutes. The thing to remember about CBD is finding the right dose is important. And everyone's dose is different. You can't, like my cat has a different one to me. Oh, I don't give it to the cat. Don't write in. Fuck off. In fact, Fields offers a free CBD online to help guide your personal experience so that you find your perfect dose. The Fields customer service team is dedicated to making sure you get the best use of your CBD. Joining the Fields monthly membership makes your self-care easy. You save money on every order and you can pause at any time or cancel at any time. Start feeling better with Fields. Become a member today by going to fields.com/IDK and get, wait a minute, they made a bloody mistake.
Yeah, I was
here.
wondering
Yeah,
when
this
this
one-
was
this is a big one.
You haven't done this all day.
This is a big one.
They're trying to save 5% off your first order, but there's someone stupidly written 50% off their first order. If you believe that, you'll believe anything.
No.
50%
I wrote
off.
this.
Get the fuck out
It's
of here, Kelly.
50% for
Get
real.
the fuck out right now.
Okay.
No, you can stay. Bloody ripping off companies left, right, and centre.
So it is
Give it
50%.
50%.
50% off.
50%. You can thank Kelly for the typo, ladies and gentlemen. First order.
Not a typo. It's actually 50%.
Yeah, well, but what they'll do is they'll stiff you on the shipping. I know how this thing works.
No.
And also, your shipping is, fuck me. The shipping is free and you get 50% off. How can you afford not to feel feels? That's FEALS.com/IDK for 50% off your first order with free shipping. Feals.com/IDK. Summer's in the sky. You know, I've been outdoors frolicking, getting me allergies. I've been doing a bit of cooking. I've been swimming in the pool. But when I barbecue, I like to soak up the last moments of summer with ButcherBox. Maybe you're getting together with friends or family or just a pig who eats large amounts of food by themselves. No matter what, the last thing you should stress about is cooking.
An actual pig?
No, metaphorical pig.
I was going to say.
Simile. It's more of a simile. I said you are a pig. No, it's a metaphor. Whenever you need a great tasting meal you can trust, ButcherBox is in your corner. Oh, here we are. We got meat for you. You're going to have to eat this in shit thunder. Delivering humanely sourced meat of your choosing right to your doorstep. Luckily, today's sponsor, ButcherBox, wants you to celebrate the rest of summer right. Treat yourself and receive a special offer from ButcherBox when a new member signs up. Okay, think about it. You sign it up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this might be something a bit different in my life. I'll get meat delivered to me doorstep so I can enjoy summer like I wanted to. ButcherBox will give you free chicken. Who wouldn't want free chicken? Free chicken, burgers, and hot dogs in your first box.
Oh, all of them?
You got your chicken, your burgers, your thing, and that's free in the box. Unbelievable. Treat yourself to receive a special offer from ButcherBox when you sign up, right? I have to motivate you people here, and I don't think you need motivation, but the process is simple. You choose your box size, right? You choose your box. I have a big box, you have a small box, whatever. And nothing sexual in that. Choose your box size and frequency. I want a big box on the regular. I want many small boxes, not often. You choose your option. And you can customize everything in it. ButcherBox ships your order frozen at the peak of freshness and packaged in an eco-friendly 100% recyclable box. You get a great tasting quality meat that is delivered right to your door. ButcherBox wants you to enjoy the rest of summer with this special deal. ButcherBox is giving our listeners a special offer of 3 pounds of chicken. That's breast meat, people. That's the white stuff, the good stuff. Oh, that sounded a bit bad. 2 pounds of burgers and 1 pack of hot dogs for free. You get that for free. You're sitting at home.
That's a lot of meat
It's
for
a lot
free.
of fucking meat for
Jesus.
free. It's like, how can you afford not to do this? Right now, new members can get this special deal when they sign up to butcherbox.com/IDK. Put IDK in there, people.
Yeah.
That's how you get the chicken, the hot dogs, and the burgers, and you support the podcast. That's butcherbox.com/IDK for free chicken, burgers, and hot dogs in your first box.
I asked Jim what a tree is. Said they're made of wood. They grow from the ground. They give us oxygen. They normally have leaves, branches, trunks, roots, trees. That one he did well on, huh?
Yeah, he did. I gave him a 9 on that.
Yeah.
Oh, you graded individual questions.
Yeah,
Wow, you
yeah,
really went all out
yeah.
here. That's
Yeah. I mean, the
She's
only thing-
efficient.
Yeah, the only thing that he missed, I thought, was that they're perennials. That means that they're there every year. and they have their leaves are kind of way up there. You know, that's the other thing that kind of distinguishes a tree from just a plant.
Oh, so plants aren't trees.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you a question, but you can talk about that.
So like a ficus, is a ficus a plant? Because that has leaves to the bottom to the top.
Yeah. I mean, a ficus is a strangler. It's a fig, right? And figs they're not really real trees. They don't have, like the secondary growth where they grow out bigger and bigger and bigger every year.
I don't know. I feel like you're politically saying something really wrong there. I feel like they're not real trees. They don't have the trunk trees like a real tree does.
Like a banyan tree isn't really a real tree. It's a fig. It's a strangler fig, which is kind of interesting. We always think of it as a tree, but.
So what's the difference between a tree and a plant? Just so Jim knows or everybody else knows. Yeah.
The main thing is that the tree has a woody stem.
Yeah.
And that it's got this big crown way up above. But shrubs also have woody stems. So what distinguishes a plant or a tree from a shrub is that it's got this big crown that's up way above, above us. Yeah. Whereas a shrub is down by our knees.
Would you agree that a weed is just a plant that's overachieving and we should pay them more respect?
I think a weed is just what we say is a weed.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
It's in the eye of the beholder.
A rose is like a difficult girl that you have to buy gifts and take her out all the time. And please like me, please like me. A weed's just one that shows up.
She's ready for anything.
She's ready for anything. And we condemn her like she's no good. No, she's a good girl, the weed.
All right. What is xylem? Jim said it's wonderful stuff. Produces sap, life force of the tree. Phloem helps the xylem grow. How do you do?
I gave him out of those two questions, I gave him 2 and 2.
Wow.
Well, that means I got something.
Sorry, Jim.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, you said it was wonderful and she agreed. So you got 2 points.
Yeah.
Wonderful xylem.
Xylem is in the inside of the tree. So it's the woody part, and the cells are dead, actually. They're the dead part of the tree inside.
The trees are just like me. They're dead inside.
And that's where the water goes up the middle of the tree. So that is sap. So you're right about that. It's kind of like it's water and nutrients going up the tree. And then the phloem is this ring of tubes on the outside where food or photosynthate goes down to the roots. And that's also known as sap. So one's on the inside, one's on the outside. The phloem is living, the xylem is dead. One brings up water, the other one sends down photosynthate or food.
Is maple syrup phloem?
It's from, I think it's mostly from the xylem. But it also contains phloem, so it's or sugars from the phloem, so it's a bit of both.
So if I was trying to act pretentious in front of my wife, and then we had maple syrup, and I just go, "Oh, there's good xylem in this. There's not enough phloem," or something like that. Yeah. Would I be right in saying that?
Can you taste the hints of xylem and phloem?
Yeah, that would be right, Kelly. So it would be the sap that's in those different tubes, the xylem tubes and the phloem tubes. So you could say it's got a hint of xylem, or it's got too much phloem.
I tell you what, I've been to Canada and drunk maple syrup from a tree from a tap. It's the shit, man.
Oh, really?
Straight from the tree is good?
Yeah, it comes straight out. It's just, it pours out like a little thing.
Oh, wow.
Just comes out.
It comes pouring out. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, I went to a restaurant in New Hampshire one time. And they had a tree in the middle of the restaurant that they would get it from.
Oh, that's cool.
It seems cruel. No, it seemed like it was like everyone's eating around it. Like, give us your
syrup. You should go to Canadian IHOP. Different experience.
What does a tree need to grow? I was trying to get at how they make their food and stuff. He said a good attitude, soil, water. The food comes from the nutrients in the soil, and I've never seen a tree in an In-N-Out. And in photosynthesis, this is all kind of tight. And he says it's when there's a molecular structure. I'm not even going to read that. Whatever.
It's got to do with the potassium.
So maybe we can talk about how they make food.
I write the notes exactly as he says them.
So I gave him a 0 on that.
Wow.
Maybe the words I used were too big for you.
Photosynthesis is taking light energy or photo energy, photons from light, and converting it to chemical energy. And that chemical energy is basically the tree sucks in CO2 and takes up water from the soil and combines it into sugars or sucrose. And that sucrose is the food of the tree. And in the whole process, it also gives up gives off oxygen. And that's what we breathe. That's why we're here, is because trees and plants photosynthesize and give off oxygen. So that is photosynthesis. That's where food for the tree comes from. And we don't usually think of like water and nutrients as food. We usually think of the photosynthate as food. And that's why I gave you a zero, Jim.
The sun's the food, or the
No,
Yeah, sorry, go. Yeah, I don't know why.
No, it's the food is so the light hits the leaf, right? The light energy.
I'm with you.
And that energy is used at the same time. The tree takes up CO2 from the air and pulls up water from the soil, and it uses that energy, or ATP, to combine them into sugars, combine those two molecules to make a sugar. And the sugar itself is the food. That's what drives everything in a tree. That's how they make tissues, how they make leaves, how they make roots, is using those sugars.
Now, when we have autumn, or as Americans call it, fall. Fall. When you have fall, Americans always lose their shit at the different, and I assume Canadians do it as well, when the leaves change color.
Mhm.
They're all like, oh, the foliage, oh, the different colors, the autumn colors, that stuff. All I see is death. I just see like that was an alive thing. Now, I know the tree's still alive, but the leaves are dying. That's like I'm just seeing death all around me. I don't see any joy in that. Am I right in saying they're dead leaves? And we're just watching when they change color. When they're green, they're alive, and then they change to orange and then yellow, and then they're dead.
Kind of. Yeah, it's kind of right. I mean, what happens in the fall is that the trees are attuned to day length. And so as the days get shorter and shorter, the tree knows through evolution, many millennia of evolution, that it's time to shut down for the winter. And so they do go through a process called abscission. And so that means that they build a tissue, like a wall, between the tree and the leaf. And so everything gets shut off to the leaf because it's just too energetically expensive to keep those leaves on in the winter, because the tree is trying to just save all of its energy just to hibernate and go dormant and get through the winter. So then those leaves then theoretically are dead. Where it kind of strays off is that trees we now know are like a consortium of species, right? There's all kinds of bacteria and fungi and critters that live on those leaves and start to decompose them. So in you're right that the leaf is dead with respect to the living tree organism, but it becomes a life boat, or this substrate for life for all the creatures that move in and start to decompose that leaf.
Now, here's one for you that I assume I know the answer to this, but I don't know the answer to this without you confirming it. Okay, so we've lost many, many, many species of animals since the dinosaurs to now, to all the things that we didn't take care of. Have we lost a lot of trees? The trees from my childhood that no longer exist, or anything like that?
Yeah, we have lost species of trees. Not nearly as many animals and fungi and other birds. We've lost way more of those than we have of trees. But there are tree species that have disappeared. But they're pretty resilient creatures. They have lots of ways to reproduce, and so we haven't lost them nearly as much as we've lost all these other kinds of creatures in the world.
Do introducing new trees into an ecosystem hurt the other trees? Like, so I live here in California, and everywhere in California now, it just looks like Australia because it's gum trees everywhere, eucalyptus trees everywhere. And so they were introduced obviously from Australia. And so does that hurt other trees, or can trees always live in harmony next to each other? I'm asking great questions.
Yeah, that is a great
That's
question.
a great question. I think you're the doctor, not me. That's a good question. I would say yes and no. People have been moving trees around since people have been here. So, like moving Douglas fir to New Zealand, or moving the eucalyptus to California. There's all kinds of examples of that. And certainly they can sort of exclude, the native species. So for example, in New Zealand, like the many species of tropical trees, really they've been cut down except in parks and replaced with Douglas fir. Those forests aren't nearly the same as they were in, the original forests. They're not as diverse. They're not as productive. They're not as resilient. They're susceptible to infections and infestations. And so they're there's some danger in doing that. But at the same time, if we think about climate change is happening so fast that we're going to actually have to start moving trees around so that they're adapted to this warming climate. So, or at least, certain genotypes or, the genetic makeup of trees. We're going to have to start shifting things around so that they're adapted to these changing conditions. So I think in some ways, in that respect, humans are absolutely essential in keeping the cycles of the earth going by moving plants around.
Here we go. This is from another podcast. I'm going to quiz you on something, right? When and why did California get palm trees?
Ooh.
Yeah, and is a palm a tree? That's another.
Ooh.
I didn't ask that question.
I'm going to throw that back at you.
The answer is no, but when did they get them?
They're not.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I'm a Canadian, so I didn't go to California until I was like an adult. So I don't know, but I suspect within the last century.
What Jim is talking about, just so you know, is all the streets here are lined with Washingtonian palms. And they're very specific type, and they grow really tall. And you can tell her, Jim.
They were introduced for the Olympics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
So
we were
not
meant
that
to
long.
get some more for the Olympics coming.
The first Olympics, whenever that was, they brought him in to make it look more tropical, I don't know, whatever, and lined all these streets. And then in '84, they planted more palms.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all these Washingtonians that like they're like super tall, and then they're supposedly going to plant more for this next Olympics or whatever. That's like their thing that they do to make it look like LA, even though it's not LA.
And it's also In-N-Out probably
Interesting.
brought them here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
So In-N-Out have 2 palm trees crossed over in front of each restaurant. That's a little, if you ever go to an In-N-Out, you always can see that.
Okay.
That's the reason I go there, for the nature.
Well, it's for Jesus.
Here's one for you. So is farming trees, okay, so when I was a kid, there was I don't know if this is true, but there was a thought that we were cutting down forests and we were never regrowing them back. And then we started, like, for every tree we cut down, we were going to plant another tree for, so it would be renewable forests, et cetera, et cetera. And then, like, let's say something like Christmas trees. Is there any guilt there in buying a real tree because they farm them? Or is farming trees still bad for the environment?
I think for Christmas trees that I wouldn't feel guilty about that. I mean, as long as they're not poisoning the environment while they're growing them, which, some do. So, but you could buy an organic tree that doesn't have pesticides and fertilizers.
Don't say that. My wife listens to this podcast. You've just cost me another $200.
But the farming of trees, so like cutting down old forests or native forests or what we call primary forests, they're almost always more diverse and more productive than the tree farms that we replace them with or the plantations. These plantations, a lot of foresters think of them as biological deserts because they're usually like one species of tree, replacing a forest that would have 10, or even if you're in the tropics, hundreds of species in a hectare. So yeah, it's pretty bad for the environment for us to be replacing our old forests with plantations, but it's way better than leaving, than cutting down the forest and leaving it, without any trees. It's way better to plant them and have a plantation than a parking lot, for example.
And the real problem is because the animals can't move back in there, right? Because they don't have everything they need.
Well, that's definitely important, but also, forests are where, 80% of our carbon is stored in the terrestrial ecosystems, like on land. So if we had no forests, we wouldn't be here. We'd have no oxygen for one, or very little, and we would be swamped out with greenhouse gases. They're also where most of our water comes from. It's cleaned by the forest. So if you like clean water, which I think all of us do, we need forests for that.
I like it, but carbonated and sugar added to it.
Or made into beer, maybe.
So here's one of the questions was, is there anywhere on Earth without trees? And I said, yes, the Sahara, it has trees, but nothing to
Right home about.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, there are places. Yeah, you're right. Like the desert, by definition, doesn't have trees. And there's certain countries in the world that have no trees. Like Qatar has no trees, apparently. I've never been there.
That's good. A lot of space to build World Cup stadiums.
Yeah, skyscrapers.
Yeah, no, but
I saw that Antarctica. When I looked at
Antarctica or in Greenland. Yeah, Greenland doesn't have trees.
The outback of Australia still has trees, but very just shrubby type things. But it's red dirt. I don't see how anything bloody grows out there. Anyway.
Why do we need trees? Jim said oxygen, wood for tables and whatnot, and hanging tires.
Hanging tires is a
Is that
big
it?
one.
Anything else?
No, yeah. Well, those are a couple of things. Those are both. I mean, the tire thing. Well, whatever.
Where else are you hanging it? There's nowhere else. If you don't have a tree, you're not going to put it in a door frame. You can make
build a
some type.
fence.
You can make a metal apparatus, but then what are you doing? You're just being silly. You're taking all the joy out of childhood there.
I've seen some people build fences out of tires, like whole walls of tires. They don't look very nice, but
Definitely not.
okay. So what else do we need forests? Okay, so yeah, they're homes to the animals and the lichens and fungi and bacteria and birds. You know, that's where most of our biodiversity is on land, is in forest. 80% of those creatures live in forests. The other thing, the huge thing, like I just mentioned, is that they're essential in the carbon cycle. Most of our carbon, 80% of the world's carbon, other than in oceans, is stored in forests, either in the above ground part that we can see or half of it's in the soil. So if we lost that, let's say like suddenly we said, oh, we don't want any forests anymore, we're going to cut them all down. Well, that carbon ends up in the atmosphere. Most of it does. And so that would actually kill us almost right away if we lost all of our forests.
I don't know if you'll know this, but when did we figure out that trees gave us oxygen? What scientist was it? What century was that in? When did that happen?
When was photosynthesis discovered? I don't actually know. Probably like in the 1800s, the 1700s.
So before that, they just thought they were pretty.
Trees.
Yeah. My father's a carpenter, or as you would call him, a tree murderer.
Or a tree crafter.
Yeah, tree crafter, yeah.
Tree crafter sounds better.
But it's better to make things out of wood than it is out of plastic and all that type of stuff. Like wood's a good thing to use in our society. Is there an argument that we use too much of it, or is there enough to go around?
Yeah, no, we do use too much of it, and we're cutting forests down way too fast. And part of, we're consuming too much. We don't need to use that much. For one, like how many pieces of toilet paper do you use a day, Jim?
No, Nothing. I use the
We use
Tushy
Hello
3.0.
Tushy.
Oh yeah, it's one of our sponsors.
No, I use
We all
hardly
have
any.
bidets. It's the best.
I'm using up a lot of water though.
No, but I will say, since I've had the Tushy, I use exponentially less toilet paper.
Not only that, I use so much water on my asshole that sea levels are actually dropping. That's how good environmentally they are.
That's bad. You know what the seas drop.
Yeah, I want them to drop. I don't want
the
them to
fresh
rise
water
up.
from the okay.
So, I mean, that is actually not, I'm actually not joking, because, we cut down a lot of trees to make toilet paper in this world. And basically toilet paper evaporates into the atmosphere immediately. It's a direct contribution to our greenhouse gases. And so it's good to have bidets.
So I remember hearing an environmental nightmare was chopsticks. Disposable chopsticks, and in Asia and in here as well, we're using tree after tree after tree for these things, and they don't really fix that. Is that worse than plastic?
Well, I you have to understand the whole balance of things, right? So, we can use fossil fuels to make plastics to use for longer term things, like plastic chopsticks last a lot longer than a single use chopstick made of wood. And you got to cut down trees to make those single use chopsticks. So in that sense, having plastic chopsticks is better for us. If you do the whole carbon accounting, right? Where does everything go? It doesn't make sense for us to be cutting down boreal forests, for example, to making chopsticks, or for that matter, wood pellets to burn in wood fire stoves. We'd be better off using fossil fuels. So we have to look at the whole chain of events from cutting down the tree to where the products end up, or from the fossil fuel side, pulling that fossil fuel out of the ground, and where does that end up? So if it's in long-term storage, like plastic picnic tables or chopsticks, that's way better than burning it in a combustion engine and it ends up right back into the atmosphere. So we have to look at the whole chain, the whole budget of all these things and we have to think really carefully, because we are at this critical point where we got to add things up properly. We got to look at the budgets.
I tell you the way to fix the world, right? We all move to spork, right? We
Spork.
have sporks, spoon forks,
Yeah.
right?
Metal spork.
We all have a metal spork. We carry a metal spork around with us.
Yeah.
That's a spoon and a fork. It's a hybrid.
And a weapon.
Yeah, and a weapon. You have your spork or you have no food, right? And so you have your spork, no more things. And then also, like with the plastic takeaway containers, my mum said that in the 1950s in Australia, when you went to a Chinese restaurant for some takeaway and all that stuff, there were no plastic containers. You would take your pots and pans in with you and you would go, I'll have a chicken, whatever, and they'd pour it in, you'd put the lid on. And then
In a pan?
You take your own saucepan. You take your own saucepan and they would dish you out your portion. You'd put the lid on and then off you go.
Yeah.
I tell you, not a bad system.
Yeah.
You're there with your spork, you eat it in an alleyway.
It's a good, it would help.
Sporks and pans, people.
Yeah.
Sporks and pans.
I agree. Yeah, we need to reuse our stuff like that.
When you were talking about us consuming too much, do you feel like, I mean, you know, how we've got like fast fashion and that's terrible for the environment. I assume that the, you know, companies, I don't want to say whatever, like an IKEA or a Walmart or something like that, where you have lower quality furniture that people are buying that only lasts for a couple of years before it falls apart. I mean, that seems to be the cycle nowadays. Whereas, you know, when we were growing up, my parents had these pieces that moved with us everywhere we went and they lasted for 25 years.
Yeah.
Do you think that has a lot to do with kind of where we're moving rapidly?
25 years. My parents have the same TV.
I know, yeah, but that's the thing. It's like that's how it used to be. Is people would buy a piece and it would get passed down, and you use it forever. But like since the time I've been in college, I don't know how much furniture I've had that just falls apart after a couple of years.
My father's very proud of his work as a carpenter. Very proud of my work. My father always goes, I built things to last. If I build you something, it'll be there for bloody ever.
Yeah. I think that the biggest problem is like paper, toilet paper products, pulp, cardboard. That's way more of a problem than IKEA furniture. Okay. But I think that you're right, though, that furniture meant to last or houses meant to last is way better than houses that are or furniture that's meant for like 2 or 3 years.
We also have firewood.
Yeah.
That's got to be in the waste column. What are we doing with this tree? Burning it for a small amount of warmth.
Yeah. Although some countries in the world, people are really reliant on firewood, you know, for cooking and heating. That's all they have. And so, yeah, I mean, maybe, you know, in North America, it might make sense to not use as much firewood. But, you know, in large parts of the world, they really need it for their livelihoods. So then it's a matter of how do you regulate that, right? So that they don't cut down all their forests.
Yeah, when I go to Forrest's house, Forrest will kill a tree just for a pizza.
I do have a wood burning pizza. Yes. I asked Jim what an angiosperm and a gymnosperm is. No need to go over those answers. They weren't right.
Gymnosperm.
Yeah. What is an angiosperm and a gymnosperm?
Gymnosperm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, an angiosperm is a flowering tree. So it's like, think of an apple tree, for example. You know, the seeds are actually inside the ovule, which has got a fruit flesh around it, the apple itself. Whereas a gymnosperm, the seeds are in cones. That's the basic difference. So, you know, and also, you know, those cones are kind of conifer shaped. And so that's why we often think of gymnosperms as conifers as well.
This is a little bit off topic, right? But Australia had a great system going, right? Because we, you know, with all of our orchards and apple trees and all these different things and grapes and all sort of stuff, we couldn't get the labor to fruit prick like you can here in America with, you know, illegal immigrants and blah, blah, or whatever, immigrants, right? So they used to get, like, if you were a British person that wanted to travel over and spend a couple of years in Australia and you were a young person, you could get the work permit, you could do it, but you had to spend the first, I think, 2 months picking fruit out in the field. So we used to have all the British people burning, picking fruit down now, right? But now they've just signed a deal, Australia and Britain, and they're about to do it with Canada as well and New Zealand. But Australia and Britain have already started. Since Britain left the EU, they've signed up an alliance now with Australia where you can travel between the two countries. Okay. And if you're young and all that type of stuff, where you couldn't do it before, you had to get special permits and also all the trade stuff's done. So that means we've lost all of our fruit pickers in Australia. What are we going to do?
I don't know.
I don't know. Fruit's going to go through the fucking roof.
It's going to cost more. Yeah.
We're going to have to pay people actual fucking wages to pick fruit. You're going to buy an avocado for $10. Anyway, dilemma.
So maybe you can talk about, because Jim, the reproduction, since we're already talking about gymnosperm, angiosperm, Jim said, oh golly, how do they? Yeah. How do trees reproduce?
How do they reproduce? I
They're
assume that's why there's knots in the side of some trees.
Oh, God.
I don't think that's a good way to reproduce.
Yeah,
to be
put
honest.
your branch in me knot.
There's a couple ways. So from seeds, right? Like that's also what creates the ability to mutate and evolve.
Wait a minute. So the tree doesn't get pregnant? Mind blown. Another tree doesn't pop out the side and run away.
Fertilized. They get fertilized. We don't call it being pregnant, but it's basically, I guess, the same thing. And then the other way is they can reproduce without having sex. And that seems like a real shame, but they can reproduce by, for example, just sprouting from buds. They can send up suckers and shoots from buds in the base of the trunk. In maple trees, for example, they do what's called layering, where the branches actually swoop down to the forest floor and they root. And then the individual offspring separate from the parent. So that's not sex.
I have to pull you up when you just said that, and they root. Now, the Australian slang term for fucking is root. So if you go, I got a good root on the weekend, I rooted this bird rooted me, whatever, I had a root on the weekend, right? That's only Australia uses that term. I thought the whole world used that term until I went to Montreal to go to the Canadian Just for Laughs Comedy Festival, and you have a big clothing brand called Roots. And there's girls with sweatpants that just have root written over the back of their ass. As an Australian, it's very daunting. But I don't know where that came from. Australia, like to have a root or whatever. And it's not like a slang term that's used back in the old days. Everyone uses that term. That's like a bog standard term to root.
Well, speaking of roots, what are the function of roots? To hold a tree in the ground, reaches out to get different bits of food from the soil. And then,
yeah, I think that was a good answer, except it's not food they're getting from the soil. It's the nutrients in the water from the soil. The food is produced in the leaves, but it's close enough.
Yeah.
You had the right intent, and they definitely hold the tree up.
Also, it's to ruin my plumbing in my house. That seems to be the function of roots. That's probably where my disagreement with trees comes from.
Yeah.
Every time it's like there's a cracked pipe. Why? Someone rooted it, which is where the term comes from.
Yeah, there you go. And then leaves feed koalas. Oxygen comes from leaves. Pretty good there, but except for the food part.
Yeah, except that you missed the other part, the most important part, which is the creation of sugars. That's what leaves do, right? They have chlorophyll. And the chlorophyll gets all excited when the light hits it, and all these reactions go on where water combines with carbon dioxide to create sugars, and that's the food of the tree.
So if a ficus isn't a tree, and you're saying created sugars, so this just popped into my head. So sugarcane, is that a tree? Bamboo, are they trees?
Not really. They're grasses, actually. They're monocots, whereas trees are mostly dicots, right? They're not grasses. They have, they're perennial dicots. They have got two, instead of having a single blade of grass, which is what bamboo is. Basically, they have, branching and all that and woody structures. And yeah. So no, they're not. Bamboo is not a tree.
Bamboo's not a tree?
It's a grass, you're saying.
It's a grass.
Yeah,
it's a kind of grass.
It helps pandas. I'm trying to think of other leaf-eating animals. I'm sure there's plenty of them. I can't think of koalas.
Giraffe.
And bugs. Oh, giraffes, yeah, they eat leaves. Yeah, lots of them eat leaves. Yeah.
And plants have leaves, but they're different than trees because trees have woody stems and these big crowns.
Okay, I want to skip ahead to this. Can trees communicate? Jim says they can because he's heard me talking about it. But I mean, that's a big part of what the first time I had heard you on a podcast, I told you on Radio Lab. And then I have your book right here. I've been reading it, but I think that this is a pretty interesting thing about can trees communicate? And
I listened to this podcast yesterday. Yeah. It was great.
Thank you. Yeah. So, we used to think of trees as just by themselves, right? These isolated individuals that just, are out there for themselves. now we know, or what I've studied too, and I think that most, people who spend time in forests realize that trees grow together. A forest is a bunch of trees growing together, and they're actually very social. They have like societies, or in ecology, we call them communities. And those communities of trees, they're growing together, they live beside each other for hundreds of years, and they've evolved ways to communicate with each other. And they do this through the soil, through their root systems and the fungi that associate with their roots, the mycorrhizas, and through the air. They also send signals and information through the air. And, when you're walking in the woods, you can actually smell those signals, right? You can smell the flowering, or you can smell the sap running, or, there's all kinds of pheromones and hormones emitted. And even in the soil, you can smell the bacteria and the mycorrhizal fungi that are kind of linking trees together. So it's not that weird. If we just sort of open up our minds, we realize that those smells, that chemistry is the chemistry of communication.
You mentioned on the podcast that if a tree gets infected or is dying or something, they can send a signal out. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So if a tree gets injured, even if it like loses a limb, or if it gets infested with a fungus or an insect, then it goes into this sort of stress response. Just like if you get punched in the face, you go, oh my God, I'm going to punch somebody back. So they go into the stress response, and it triggers this cascade of chemical pathways that are, result in the production of different chemicals that actually move through these fungal networks that link trees together, and they can warn other trees around them that they're hurt and injured and that there's some danger around. And then those trees will actually take that information and they start producing more defense enzymes themselves. And so when that insect comes after them, they're actually more equipped to fend it off. And this happens through the air. It happens through the soil.
Crazy.
Trees are, they're pretty smart about that.
Okay, I believe you, right? But how do you know this? How do you know that they're all...
True science.
No, but what science? You put a little thermometer in the ground, you go, fucking the trees are talking. Right? Like how do you know? How do you know? This seems like such a... Is this just an opinion, or is this a fact, what you say?
No, this is a fact. There's been lots of scientific papers written about this, including some of my own. And so you do experiments, right? And so, for example, in my experiments, I grow trees together where they're linked together through their below ground webs, their networks. And then I grow some trees together where I don't let them link together. So their telephone lines are cut off. And then I can, injure a tree, and then I can measure all the chemicals in those trees and in their neighbors, whether they're linked or not linked together, and run those chemicals or those samples through different instruments like mass spectrometers or liquid chromatographers. And we can, and even looking at the molecular sequences of tissues in their cells. And then we can figure out from that, how much communication is going on. So through a combination of experimentation and measurements, we can figure this out. That's how science works.
I believe you now, because you said liquid chromatographer. And I was like, if she didn't mention the liquid chromatographer, then she doesn't know what she's talking about. No, you seem legit.
There was another thing on the podcast too. Sorry, that they were saying like one of the trees pulled out a nutrient of something, and then you were able to measure that the entire community around it, like there were tons of trees that you were able to find. I can't remember specifically what that was. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but one of the things we did is we were able to map in the soil all these fungal connections, these mycorrhizal fungal connections between trees. And we could see that the most highly linked ones were the biggest, oldest trees. And we start calling those mother trees because we went ahead and we measured, chemical signals from those trees to the trees growing around them. And so these great big trees that are, the big ones in the forest, they're highly connected, and they send carbon and nitrogen and water to the seedlings that are coming up underneath them, their offspring, basically. I think that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. And before we get to that question, I'm asked, what is tree grafting? Jim's. By the way, there's more in your book.
Good job with that.
Yeah. But I'll say that at the end about the book again. What is tree grafting? It said when you cut back a tree to make it grow back better. Is that pretty good?
Kind of. So it's like surgery. You said you did the riff on surgery, and it's kind of true, right? It's the tree surgeon. So they'll take a rootstock of one plant, and then they'll take what's called a scion, or the top of another plant. Like, maybe you've got a rootstock of an apple tree that's old and big root system. You can get like the scion of another apple tree, like I don't know, a delicious apple, and you can graft it onto the original rootstock, and then you get the kind of fruit that you want from this existing older plant. There's another way they graft those. So below ground, the roots of trees can graft together. The roots, if they're all the same species, they can graft together. So in our forests in Canada, for example, some of our forests, half of the roots are grafted to other roots. So it's more like this below ground when you look, that most of these trees are actually connected together by grafts as well. And a graft is where roots grow together and they start to share the same bark, the same phloem, even some of the same xylem. And so they become like a single tree.
Okay. Rainforest. Jim thinks that since he was a kid, he's heard that there's a football field a day was destroyed. So the rainforest should be all gone by now. And he's questioning it.
It seems like every day, man.
Yeah.
Every day. I've lived a lot of days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are running out of rainforests, unfortunately. I mean, we're actually cutting down many football fields per day worth of rainforest.
Sound believable at all.
I know it doesn't, but it's true. And they say that if we keep up this rate, we won't have any more tropical rainforests in the next decade. Wow. So it's actually, we're losing quite a bit pretty fast. Yeah.
And it's bad because, one of the things I always think about is all the medicines that like, it's like there's, I forget what the percentage of medicines that have been discovered, like in the rainforest or through trees. And it's like, and we haven't even really tapped that potential yet, right? It's like
huge number of medicines come from rainforests or any kind of forest. One of the ones that I'm familiar with mostly is Taxol, which is used to treat cancers. And that comes from the yew tree. In fact, when I had breast cancer and I got treated with Taxol, and it saved my life. Wow. And there's other chemicals like quinone comes from the soil and from certain fungi in the soil. I think it's fungi or bacteria in the soil that produce quinone, which is what we use to treat our malaria. So there are, a lot of medicines that
wasn't aspirin from like willows or something like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Aspirin came from willows or spirea as well. Later we figured out spirea also produces.
Why is there no aspirin in the jungle?
What?
Why?
Because the parrots ate them all.
What?
Parrots eat them all? Paracetamol?
Oh, paracetamol.
The parrots eat them all.
Is that a joke from Australia? We don't call it paracetamol here, but that's...
Oh, okay.
I was like, that's a really bad joke.
Because the parrots eat them all.
That's what you call it in Australia, paracetamol, right? It's a brand.
Paracetamol,
yeah.
I thought that was the chemical paracetamol.
Maybe it is.
Never heard that before.
Might be, yeah. Okay.
That's very smart, yeah.
Before we get to
I know you didn't think that.
Get an extra point, Jim. Get an extra point, and that means you're up to we need trees to survive. All right, good. Last question, and we'll have a dinner party effect is, what is more nature, tree or sand? Jim says sand.
Absolutely wrong.
Forrest is finally vindicated.
The handshake of the ocean.
I mean,
what does that mean? The handshake.
You have to
bring
admit
us together.
You have to admit his answer for that was poetic and beautiful.
That was pretty good. The hand of the shake.
He said, "The sand is the handshake we have with the sea, the great equalizer."
Yeah, the great equalizer. Without sand, what are we doing?
Isn't sand just like ground up rocks and coral?
It is.
You're ground up rocks and coral.
Got him.
Sand is actually just the particle size of minerals. It's just that it's large minerals, like there's sand, silt, and clay. All that refers to are the sizes of mineral particles. And so it has nothing to do with life itself. However, sand, you can have life on it. Bacteria and fungi and viruses can cling to sand and give it kind of a life, or start to break it down into silt particles or clay particles. But, a tree already has like photosynthesis and all these other organisms. They're like microbiomes already. And so they're definitely more nature than sound.
I'll put it this way. No one holidays to see a tree.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I do.
Maybe if it's near sand.
You mean national forests?
Yeah, Sequoia National. People have gone there.
Yosemite.
Big Sur. Everyone goes to Big Sur.
Sure.
This is just in California.
Redwood.
Yeah.
Joshua Tree. Okay.
Well, I'll give you, there is sand there.
Yeah.
There's sand there, but people
Joshua Tree does.
go more for the tree than the sand.
All right, this is the part of the show called Dinner
I
Party.
don't even like sand. It gets everywhere.
I know, it's the worst.
I don't know why you're fighting for it.
You would never do mushrooms and sit and look at sand. You would hang with
It seems
trees, though.
Kelly really smashed her fist down there. She was
No,
super angry about the whole thing.
watch.
Yeah, no.
It's coarse. It's rough. It gets everywhere.
But you'd call someone sandy. You'd never call someone tree. Oh,
That's
forest.
All
Oh.
right.
Trees.
Forest, yes.
So this is a part of the show, Dinner Party Facts, where we ask our expert to give us some sort of interesting or obscure, something that people can use to impress their friends at a dinner party or a bar or something. What do you got for us? About trees. Yeah, about trees. Yeah.
Oh, I was supposed to do this, right?
Yeah, if you didn't, it's okay. You've given us a lot of information.
That's okay. How many tree species are there in the world?
Okay.
Oh, there.
The flutter. Yeah.
He's counting them. He's going.
He's Rain
He's
Man.
counting them right now.
1.4 million.
That's way too high.
Yeah, well, you should. Geez, your dinner party fact doesn't sound that impressive
That's
now.
more like how many trees are there in the world?
Oh,
There's-
okay. So 46,000.
Oh, that's pretty close. About 60,000.
60,000
It's not
species. That's a
bad.
lot, though. It's not
Yeah.
bad.
How many trees per person are there in the world?
Oh, there's 60.
Now you can do the math
yeah,
on this.
We get one each.
One.
We get about 400 each.
There's
Wow.
too many trees.
And all the legwork is gone.
We got so close. We got so close.
400 each.
We're not the only things that breathe oxygen, first of all. There's other animals that breathe oxygen, so you're
Oh,
not just
good
thinking of it
point.
that way.
I know. Well, they've got a bloody 100 each. Like even if,
No. That's
even if you give us one each, there's still one for every other animal. We've all got one.
Well, there's about
That's
10
not even including plants.
Well, what about
And weeds.
under your footstep? There's like 10,000 species of bacteria. They don't. We've got to share it with them too.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So suddenly you carve it up and there's not that
I
many
don't
trees.
know about this. All that good work's gone now. I was all won over 400 each. Fucking hell. I own about fucking 50 myself, just in different houses and stuff like that. Yeah,
probably more than that, actually.
Yeah.
Along the little fence line, you got all those. Dr. Suzanne Simard, the book is called Finding the Mother Tree, Discovering the Wisdom of the Forest. It's available everywhere. By the way, I forgot that I read online that they're making a movie about you, Amy Adams, and is that right? And
About the book, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not all about me because it's pretty boring. But yeah, there's going to be a movie, a feature film with Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal.
oh,
Pretty
Amy's
incredible.
playing you, right?
Congratulations.
Not Jake, right?
You never know.
Who's Jake playing?
I don't know. Actually,
Tree.
he's like one of the producers, so I'm not sure if he's actually going to be in the movie. But
He's a tree.
The
Tree, yeah.
trees in the Lord of the Rings that walking around and
Ents.
talking.
the ants.
Yeah, did you like them?
Sure. I mean, when I didn't read it, I read it when I was a kid. So
Yeah, there's a movie now. You don't have to bother.
it's been a long time since I read the book, but I love the ants. Yeah, I love The Hobbit too.
well, we'll put it up there. Here's the book. It's really good. I've been reading it. And Finding the Mother Tree and at Dr. Suzanne Simard on Instagram. Thank you for being on the show.
Yes, thank you so
Thank
much.
you for being on the show, Suzanne. I do appreciate
Thank you.
it. Trees
Thank
are
you for the
good.
laughs. They are good. Remember that.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever at a party, someone walks up to you and goes, "A tree is more nature than sand." Go, "Well, I don't know about that."
What do you mean? You're going to do it the other way.
It is.
Then just walk away.
He doesn't know.
Good night, Australia.